Deep beneath Egypt's famous pyramids, in the shadow of these ancient wonders that have stood for millennia, scientists may have uncovered something truly extraordinary that could rewrite our understanding of ancient civilization. Using cutting-edge technology, researchers have detected what appears to be an extensive network of man-made structures hidden far below the desert sands, suggesting that the visible pyramids might just be the tip of a much larger hidden complex that has remained concealed for thousands of years. This potential discovery has sent shockwaves through the archaeological community, as it hints at a previously unknown chapter of ancient Egyptian history that was either deliberately hidden or simply lost to time. Scientists discover a vast city underneath Egypt's Giza pyramid, revealing secrets of mysterious structures. A team of dedicated researchers from prestigious international institutions has made the astonishing claim that there's an enormous underground city concealed below the Giza plateau, potentially rivaling the scale of the surface structures we've marveled at for centuries. These scientists, combining expertise in archaeology, geophysics, and Egyptology, suggest that this subterranean network could represent one of the most significant archaeological finds of our generation, possibly containing undisturbed artifacts and information that could shed new light on ancient Egyptian civilization. Their preliminary findings indicate a carefully planned urban layout beneath the pyramids, complete with what appear to be residential areas, ceremonial spaces, and possibly even administrative centers, all preserved in the dry, stable environment below the desert. The researchers estimate that this lost city could date back more than 4,000 years, potentially contemporaneous with the construction of the Great Pyramid itself, which would place its origins in the Old Kingdom period, when Egyptian civilization was at its zenith. This timeframe suggests that the underground complex wasn't a later addition, but was instead conceived as an integral part of the original pyramid complex, possibly serving purposes that we're only beginning to comprehend. The remarkable preservation of these underground structures, protected from the elements and human interference by layers of rock and sand, could provide an unprecedented snapshot of ancient Egyptian life and architecture in a way that surface ruins simply cannot match. This groundbreaking discovery was made possible through the use of special radar technology that represents the cutting edge of archaeological prospecting tools. Known as ground-penetrating radar, GPR, and advanced satellite imaging systems, these technologies allow researchers to see beneath the Earth's surface without the need for destructive digging or excavation. The equipment works by sending electromagnetic pulses into the ground and analyzing the reflected signals, creating detailed three-dimensional maps of subsurface structures based on how different materials reflect these waves. This non-invasive approach has revolutionized archaeology in recent years, enabling discoveries that would have been impossible with traditional excavation methods alone. The remarkable aspect of this technology is its ability to penetrate deep underground without any physical digging, preserving the integrity of potential archaeological sites while still revealing their secrets. Modern systems can differentiate between natural geological formations and man-made structures with increasing accuracy, distinguishing between solid rock, voids, metal objects, and different types of construction materials based on their unique signatures. The depth penetration of these systems has improved dramatically in recent years, with some advanced configurations capable of detecting features hundreds of feet below the surface, making them ideal for investigating the mysteries buried beneath Egypt's ancient monuments, where conventional excavation would be impractical or potentially damaging to the sites above. What the scientists have found beneath the pyramids is nothing short of astonishing, a complex network of large tunnels and chambers that appears to extend far beyond the known underground spaces associated with these ancient structures. The tunnels show evidence of careful engineering, with uniform widths and consistent orientations that suggest deliberate planning rather than natural formation. Some passages appear to connect major chambers in what could be an underground transportation or communication network, while others lead to areas that haven't yet been fully mapped, leaving tantalizing possibilities for what might lie at their endpoints. The scale and complexity of these subterranean features indicate a level of architectural ambition that matches or even exceeds that displayed in the construction of the pyramids themselves. Some of these tunnels plunge to incredible depths, with preliminary scans indicating passages extending more than 2,000 feet below the surface, depths that challenge our understanding of ancient Egyptian engineering capabilities. At these subterranean levels, The environment would have been completely dark, requiring artificial lighting systems if they were meant to be regularly accessed, and presenting significant challenges in terms of air circulation and structural stability. The fact that ancient builders might have ventured so deep underground suggests that whatever was located there held immense importance, possibly relating to religious beliefs about the underworld, or containing materials or knowledge considered too valuable or dangerous to keep near the surface. The depth also raises questions about how such excavations were achieved with Bronze Age technology. Among the most intriguing features discovered are strange spiral staircases that appear to wind their way downward through the underground complex. These helical passages, showing precise geometric regularity in the radar images, suggest a sophisticated understanding of structural engineering and spatial planning. The staircase's design would have allowed for efficient movement between different levels of the underground city, while maximizing structural stability in the surrounding rock. Some archaeologists speculate that these spiraling passages might have held symbolic significance, possibly representing the cyclical nature of life and death that was central to ancient Egyptian cosmology, or serving as physical manifestations of the journey to the underworld, described in Egyptian funerary texts. The largest chambers detected in the scans are truly monumental in scale, with some appearing to be as large as the pyramids themselves when measured by volume. These vast underground spaces challenge conventional notions about ancient Egyptian architecture, which has traditionally been associated with above-ground monuments. The chambers show regular geometric shapes in the scans, with what appear to be flat floors and carefully constructed walls, suggesting they were designed for specific purposes rather than being natural caverns. Their immense size raises fascinating questions about their original function. Were they storage facilities for sacred artifacts, gathering spaces for important rituals, or perhaps even underground temples dedicated to deities associated with the underworld? The potential uses are as varied as they are intriguing to consider. Researchers are particularly excited by the possibility that these underground structures might be connected to ancient Egyptian legends that have persisted for millennia. Numerous texts and oral traditions speak of hidden chambers beneath Giza, containing sacred knowledge or powerful artifacts, stories that were long dismissed as myth, but now appear to have potential bases in reality. The alignment of some tunnels with celestial events and their positioning relative to surface monuments suggests a cosmological significance that aligns with known Egyptian beliefs about the connection between earthly structures and the celestial realm. This potential validation of ancient accounts through modern technology represents a thrilling convergence of archaeology and mythology that could reshape our understanding of how much factual basis exists behind these enduring legends. One particularly compelling legend that has gained new attention is that of the Hall of Records, a mythical underground repository said to contain the accumulated wisdom of a lost advanced civilization. According to various ancient sources and more recent metaphysical traditions, this hall was created to preserve knowledge through cataclysms, containing records of antediluvian civilizations, advanced scientific understanding, and spiritual teachings meant for future generations. The description of this legendary hall, its vast size, its underground location near the Sphinx, and its supposed contents, bears striking similarities to some of the features detected in the recent scans, leading some researchers to speculate that they may have finally located this fabled chamber after centuries of searching. This hall was said by ancient sources to hold secret knowledge from long ago, possibly predating known Egyptian civilization itself. According to the legends, the information contained within was so profound that it could alter humanity's understanding of history, science, and spirituality. Some interpretations suggest it might contain records of advanced technologies, astronomical knowledge that shouldn't have existed at the time, or accounts of civilizations that flourished before recorded history. The potential discovery of an actual physical space matching these descriptions would represent an unprecedented opportunity to verify these long-dismissed accounts and possibly recover knowledge that was thought to be lost to antiquity. The implications for our understanding of human history would be profound, if even a fraction of these legends proved to be based in fact. The new discovery might indeed be this legendary place, as preliminary scans show features that align remarkably well with ancient descriptions. The size and layout of the largest chambers correspond to accounts of a vast underground hall, while the presence of what appear to be smaller adjacent chambers could match descriptions of annexes containing specialized knowledge. The depth of the complex would have provided ideal preservation conditions for delicate materials like papyrus or certain metals over millennia. Perhaps most intriguingly, some scans show anomalies that could be interpreted as metallic objects or containers arranged in patterns that suggest deliberate placement rather than random deposition, hinting at the possibility of intact artifacts waiting to be discovered if further exploration is permitted. The underground city appears to have been carefully designed rather than being a natural formation, with clear evidence of human intervention in the regular shapes and precise angles visible in the radar returns. The layout shows what appears to be deliberate urban planning, with distinct zones that may have served different functions, connected by passageways that follow logical progressions. The orientation of major features aligns with cardinal directions and celestial phenomena in ways that mirror the astronomical precision seen in above-ground Egyptian architecture. This level of intentional design suggests that the underground complex was as important to its builders as the more visible surface monuments, possibly serving purposes that required secrecy, protection from the elements, or specific subterranean conditions that couldn't be replicated above ground. There are numerous signs of advanced engineering in the structures that challenge conventional timelines of technological development. The tunnels show evidence of sophisticated reinforcement techniques that would have been necessary to prevent collapse at such depths, suggesting an understanding of structural mechanics that we didn't previously attribute to ancient Egyptian builders. Some chambers appear to incorporate features that may have served as early climate control systems, taking advantage of natural geothermal gradients and airflow patterns to maintain stable conditions underground. The water management systems detected show a level of hydraulic engineering that rivals or exceeds what was previously known from above-ground Egyptian architecture, with what appear to be carefully graded channels, reservoirs, and possibly even filtration systems that would have been remarkably advanced for their time. Some walls in the scanned images looked like they were cut perfectly straight, with smooth surfaces that would have required specialized tools and techniques to achieve in solid rock. The precision of these cuts, maintaining consistent angles and planes over long distances, suggests the use of sophisticated measuring and cutting technologies that archaeologists didn't believe existed in ancient Egypt. Certain junctions show what appear to be tightly fitted corners where multiple stone surfaces meet at exact right angles, a feat that would challenge modern stonemasons working underground. These construction details imply a level of craftsmanship and engineering knowledge that goes beyond what we've seen in even the most precise above-ground Egyptian architecture, raising fascinating questions about how such perfection was achieved in the more challenging underground environment with presumably less sophisticated tools. The scientists also found evidence of an old water system running through parts of the underground complex, complete with what appear to be channels, reservoirs, and possibly even early plumbing fixtures. This hydraulic network seems to have been carefully integrated into the architecture, with some channels following specific alignments that may have had ritual significance, while others show practical designs for water collection and distribution. The presence of water management at such depths is particularly intriguing, as it would have required either tapping into natural aquifers or creating systems to bring water down from the surface, both impressive engineering challenges. The system's sophistication suggests that water played an important role in whatever activities took place in the underground city, whether for practical purposes like drinking and sanitation, or for ceremonial uses in rituals that may have required running water. This elaborate infrastructure suggests people might have lived down there for extended periods, rather than the space being used only for occasional rituals or as a burial site. The apparent presence of water sources, ventilation features, and what look like habitation chambers with regular layouts all point to the possibility of sustained human occupation. If confirmed, this would revolutionize our understanding of ancient Egyptian urban planning, showing that they developed sophisticated underground living spaces alongside their famous above-ground architecture. The scale of the complex implies it could have housed hundreds or even thousands of people, possibly serving as a refuge during times of crisis, a secret administrative center, or even a specialized community dedicated to maintaining whatever sacred functions the underground city was designed to serve. Alternatively, the underground city could have been used for special ceremonies that required secrecy, or specific environmental conditions not available on the surface. Many ancient cultures associated underground spaces with the realm of the dead, or with secret initiatory knowledge, and Egypt was no exception. The depth and isolation of these chambers would have made them ideal for rituals meant to be experienced only by select individuals, possibly relating to the afterlife journey described in Egyptian funerary texts. The controlled environment underground, with constant temperature, absence of natural light, and acoustic properties very different from surface spaces, could have created sensory conditions that enhance certain ritual experiences. The potential discovery of such ceremonial spaces would give us unprecedented insight into the most secretive and sacred aspects of ancient Egyptian religious practice. However, not all experts agree with these exciting claims, and the archaeological community remains divided about the interpretation of the findings. Some prominent Egyptologists have expressed skepticism, pointing out that similar claims in the past have often turned out to be misinterpretations of natural geological features. They argue that while the technology is impressive, the interpretation of the data requires careful validation through traditional archaeological methods before such extraordinary conclusions can be accepted. This caution reflects the scientific principle that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, and many researchers prefer to wait for more conclusive proof before rewriting the history books. The debate highlights the tension between technological innovation in archaeology and the discipline's traditional reliance on physical excavation and artifact analysis. Some archaeologists suggest the findings might be mistakes or misinterpretations of the complex radar data, cautioning against jumping to dramatic conclusions without further verification. They point out that subsurface scanning technologies, while powerful, can sometimes produce ambiguous results that might be misinterpreted, especially in geologically complex areas like the Giza plateau. Natural features such as fissures in the bedrock, mineral deposits, or unusual stone formations can sometimes mimic man-made structures in radar returns. These experts emphasize the need for ground truthing through selective excavation or drilling to confirm whether the detected anomalies are indeed artificial structures rather than geological formations. Until such verification occurs, they argue, the existence of an underground city should remain in the realm of intriguing possibility rather than established fact. They particularly argue that the radar signals could be showing natural rock formations that happen to resemble man-made structures, a known phenomenon in archaeological prospecting. The limestone bedrock beneath Giza is known to contain natural voids, fractures, and irregular layers that might appear architectural in scans but were formed by geological processes over millions of years. Some skeptics propose that what appears to be straight walls could be particularly clean fracture planes in the rock, while the chambers might be solution cavities created by water action. They caution that the human brain is wired to see patterns and familiar shapes even when none exist, a phenomenon called pareidolia, and that researchers must guard against this tendency when interpreting ambiguous subsurface data. The debate underscores the challenges of using indirect sensing methods to investigate archaeological sites without physical verification. The Egyptian government, which controls access to all archaeological sites in the country, hasn't officially confirmed the discovery yet, maintaining a cautious stance. The Supreme Council of Antiquities, Egypt's governing body for archaeological matters, has stated that while they find the preliminary results interesting, they require more evidence and peer-reviewed studies before endorsing such significant claims. This prudence reflects both the scientific rigor required in archaeology and the political sensitivities surrounding Egypt's cultural heritage, which is a source of national pride and a major driver of tourism. The government's position also stems from past experiences with premature announcements that later proved inaccurate, potentially harming Egypt's reputation in the academic community and the public eye. Their measured response suggests they're waiting for incontrovertible proof before making any official statements about what might lie beneath Giza. More research is clearly needed to prove what's really there, as the initial findings, while compelling, represent only the beginning of the investigative process. The next steps would involve higher resolution scanning to refine the images of the underground features, followed by carefully controlled test excavations or borehole sampling to physically verify the nature of the anomalies. Interdisciplinary teams would need to analyze the geological context, compare the findings with known Egyptian underground architecture, and develop detailed three-dimensional models of the suspected structures. This process could take years of meticulous work before reaching definitive conclusions, especially given the sensitive nature of the site and the need to preserve both the potential underground structures and the iconic monuments above them. The scientific community awaits these further studies with great interest. The Italian research team plans to conduct more scans soon using upgraded equipment that should provide even clearer images of the underground structures. They aim to deploy advanced multi-frequency radar systems that can penetrate deeper while providing higher resolution, along with seismic imaging techniques that use sound waves to map subsurface features. The team is also exploring the use of muon tomography, a cutting-edge technique that uses cosmic rays to create X-ray-like images of large structures, which was recently used to detect voids in the Great Pyramid. These additional surveys hope to resolve current ambiguities in the data, potentially revealing finer details like wall decorations, artifacts, or inscriptions that could provide definitive proof of human construction and clues about the complex's purpose. The researchers emphasize that their work is methodical and ongoing, with much more data collection and analysis required. This isn't the first time strange and unexpected things have been found at Giza, as the plateau has been full of surprises for archaeologists throughout history. From hidden shafts in the Great Pyramid to secret chambers near the Sphinx, new discoveries have consistently challenged our understanding of this ancient site. Many of these findings were initially met with skepticism before being confirmed by subsequent research, suggesting that Giza still holds many secrets waiting to be uncovered. The pattern of discovery at the site shows that the ancient Egyptians often built in layers of meaning and concealment, with later constructions sometimes hiding earlier ones, and with surface monuments frequently having underground counterparts. This historical context makes the current claims about a vast underground city more plausible to many researchers, even as they await more definitive evidence. In 2017, scientists made headlines when they discovered a big void inside the Great Pyramid using muon tomography, a large empty space above the Grand Gallery that hadn't been known to modern archaeology. This void, measuring about 30 meters long, showed clear edges that suggested it was deliberately constructed rather than being a natural feature, though its purpose remains mysterious. The discovery demonstrated that even after centuries of study, Egypt's most famous monument still held surprises, and that advanced physics techniques could reveal hidden aspects of ancient structures without damaging them. The find also showed that the ancient Egyptians might have incorporated hidden spaces into their monumental architecture for reasons we don't yet understand, lending credence to the possibility that other concealed structures might exist at Giza, including underground ones. Earlier, in 1999, archaeologists discovered the Osiris Shaft beneath the Giza Plateau, a complex three-level structure connected to the legend of the god Osiris. This underground network included a flooded chamber containing a sarcophagus and various artifacts, showing that the ancient Egyptians did indeed construct significant subterranean features at Giza. The shaft's discovery confirmed that at least some of the legends about underground constructions at the site had basis in reality, even if they had become exaggerated over time. While much smaller than the city now being proposed, the Osiris Shaft demonstrated the Egyptians' capability and willingness to create elaborate underground spaces, setting a precedent that makes the current claims more plausible to many experts. The shaft's existence suggests that other, potentially larger underground constructions might await discovery. Ancient writings from various cultures have often mentioned secrets hidden below Giza, suggesting that knowledge of underground structures persisted long after their original construction. Greek and Roman historians wrote about hidden chambers beneath the pyramids, while Arab chroniclers of the Middle Ages recorded local traditions about vast underground labyrinths. Even early European travelers to Egypt collected stories from local guides about concealed passages and rooms beneath the plateau. While many of these accounts were dismissed as legend or exaggeration, the consistency of the underground theme across different time periods and cultures is striking. The possibility that these disparate sources might have been preserving fragments of genuine knowledge about now-buried structures adds an intriguing layer to the current archaeological investigations at Giza. The Greek historian Herodotus, often called the father of history, wrote about hidden chambers beneath Giza during his visit to Egypt in the 5th century BCE. In his famous work, The Histories, he recorded Egyptian priests' claims about secret underground rooms containing records and treasures, though he admitted he hadn't seen them himself. While scholars have debated the accuracy of Herodotus's Egyptian accounts for centuries, the potential discovery of actual underground structures matching his descriptions would force a re-evaluation of his reliability as a source. It would also suggest that knowledge of these subterranean features persisted among Egyptian temple priests for thousands of years after their construction, preserved as part of an esoteric tradition that eventually died out or went underground, in both the literal and figurative senses. If proven real, this underground city could represent the biggest archaeological find in years, potentially rivaling the discovery of Tutankhamun's tomb in its significance. Unlike the tomb, which contained spectacular artifacts, but confirmed what archaeologists already knew about Egyptian burial practices, an intact underground city could reveal entirely new aspects of ancient Egyptian civilization. The potential for undisturbed contexts is particularly exciting to researchers, as looters and earlier archaeologists rarely penetrated deep underground at Giza, leaving the possibility that organic materials, inscriptions, and artifacts might be preserved in ways that surface sites rarely are. The discovery could shed new light on everything from daily life in ancient Egypt to their most secret religious practices, filling gaps in our knowledge that we didn't even know existed. It might fundamentally change what we know about ancient Egypt, revealing aspects of their civilization that were either deliberately concealed or simply lost over time. The traditional view of ancient Egyptian society as being primarily focused on surface monuments and above-ground activities might need revision if it turns out they invested comparable resources in subterranean construction. The discovery could force Egyptologists to reconsider the purpose of the Giza complex as a whole, suggesting it was more than just a necropolis for kings, but perhaps also a center for secret knowledge or rituals. It might also provide evidence for technological capabilities or social organizations that we didn't previously attribute to the ancient Egyptians, potentially solving some of the long-standing mysteries about how they achieved such architectural feats with the technology of their time. The pyramids have always been full of mysteries that challenge our understanding of the ancient world, from their precise astronomical alignments to their sophisticated construction techniques. The Great Pyramid alone contains features that continue to baffle researchers, such as its 8-sided geometry, the purpose of its narrow air shafts, and the methods used to move and place its massive stones. These enigmas have fueled countless theories over the centuries, ranging from the plausible to the fantastical. The potential discovery of a major underground component to the Giza complex would add a whole new dimension to these mysteries, suggesting that what we see on the surface might just be the most visible part of a much larger and more complex sacred landscape, whose full significance we're only beginning to grasp. We still don't know exactly how the pyramids were built, despite centuries of study and numerous theories about ramps, levers, and workforce organization. The construction techniques remain one of archaeology's greatest unsolved problems, with each proposed solution raising new questions. The potential existence of extensive underground works at Giza adds another layer to this mystery. Did the builders develop sophisticated tunneling and underground construction methods alongside their above-ground engineering? Could the excavation of material for underground structures have provided some of the stone used in the pyramids themselves? Might there even be undiscovered underground quarries or workshops that could shed light on how these massive projects were organized and executed? The answers to these questions might lie waiting in the unexplored depths beneath the Giza plateau. Now there might be a whole city buried beneath them, a possibility that expands our conception of what the Giza complex was intended to be. Rather than just being a collection of separate tombs and temples on the desert surface, the site might have been conceived as an integrated three-dimensional sacred space, extending far below ground. This would align with ancient Egyptian cosmology, which saw the underworld as a real and important realm parallel to the surface world. An underground city would complete the symbolic representation of the Egyptian universe at Giza, with the pyramids reaching toward the heavens, the surface temples representing the earthly realm, and now potentially a subterranean component embodying the underworld. Such a tripartite design would make Giza an even more comprehensive cosmological model than previously imagined. The underground chambers detected in the scans seemed too large and elaborate for normal tombs, even by the extravagant standards of Egyptian royal burial practices. While the pyramids themselves are certainly monumental tombs, the scale and apparent complexity of the underground features suggest they serve different or additional purposes. The layout appears more like a functional space than a funerary one, with what seem to be interconnected rooms and passageways, designed for movement and activity rather than just housing the dead. This distinction has led researchers to speculate that the underground city, if real, must have had some other primary function beyond burial, though it might have incorporated mortuary aspects as part of a larger complex of meanings and uses. They might have been used for something more important than burials, perhaps serving as administrative centers, storage facilities for sacred objects, or even as shelters during times of crisis. The dry, stable environment underground would have been ideal for preserving perishable materials like papyrus records or organic artifacts that rarely survive in surface contexts. Alternatively, the chambers could have housed important rituals that required seclusion from the outside world, or served as secure locations for storing valuable materials like the sacred oils and incense that played crucial roles in Egyptian religion. In times of invasion or civil unrest, such an underground complex could have provided refuge for priests and elites, along with their most precious artifacts and records, explaining why knowledge of it might have faded if it was only used intermittently during emergencies. Maybe they stored sacred knowledge or treasures considered too valuable or dangerous to keep in surface temples. Ancient texts refer to divine books, containing powerful magic and secret wisdom that were carefully guarded by temple priests. If such documents existed physically rather than just as mythological concepts, they would need to be stored in secure locations, protected from both thieves and environmental damage. The underground chambers, with their natural protection and potential for controlled access, would have been ideal for this purpose. Similarly, certain sacred objects or materials used in temple rituals might have been considered too potent to leave unsecured, requiring storage in a hidden, consecrated space accessible only to initiates. The potential discovery of such a repository could provide unprecedented insights into the most esoteric aspects of ancient Egyptian religion. Or they could have been shelters during hard times, like droughts, invasions, or civil wars that periodically affected ancient Egypt. The country's history includes numerous periods of instability when the central government collapsed and foreign invaders or internal rivals threatened the established order. During such times, the priestly elite might have needed secure locations to protect themselves, their rituals, and their accumulated knowledge. An underground city would have provided ideal refuge, hidden from view, easily defensible, and with its own water supply. This practical function wouldn't exclude religious significance, as the Egyptians saw no sharp division between the practical and sacred realms. The underground spaces might have served multiple purposes across different historical periods, changing function as circumstances required, while maintaining their essential character as protected, liminal spaces between worlds. The research team is eager to explore further, recognizing that the current findings only scratch the surface of what might lie beneath Giza. They're planning more extensive surveys using an array of complementary technologies to build a comprehensive three-dimensional map of the subsurface features. The team also hopes to identify specific locations where minimally invasive techniques like endoscopic cameras or small-scale excavations could provide physical confirmation of the radar findings without damaging the site. There's particular interest in locating potential access points that might allow researchers to enter the underground spaces directly, though this would require extreme caution to avoid compromising structural integrity or damaging any artifacts. The researchers emphasize that this is a long-term project, requiring patience and meticulous methodology to ensure that any exploration is conducted responsibly and yields reliable results. But digging that deep would be very difficult from both technical and preservation standpoints, presenting significant challenges to any physical exploration. The depth of the suspected structures, potentially thousands of feet below the surface, would require specialized mining equipment and engineering expertise far beyond typical archaeological excavations. There are serious concerns about maintaining structural stability, ensuring workers' safety, and preventing damage to both the underground features and the priceless monuments above them. Environmental factors factors like groundwater infiltration, gas accumulation, and rock stability would need to be carefully managed. Additionally, the extreme depth would make it difficult to control the microclimate around any artifacts exposed after millennia in stable conditions, raising concerns about rapid deterioration once sealed environments are breached. These practical challenges mean that if exploration moves beyond remote sensing, it will need to proceed slowly and methodically. The Egyptian government is understandably careful about permitting excavations at such sensitive and historically important sites, weighing potential knowledge gains against preservation concerns. Giza is not just an archaeological treasure, but also a symbol of national identity and a cornerstone of Egypt's tourism industry. Any excavation, especially one involving deep digging near the pyramids, would need to demonstrate that it won't compromise the structural integrity of the monuments or their surroundings. There are also political and cultural considerations, as some Egyptians view foreign-led excavations with suspicion after centuries of colonial-era antiquities exploitation. The government must balance scientific progress with protecting their heritage, ensuring that any exploration is conducted ethically and that any discoveries remain under Egyptian control. This cautious approach, while sometimes frustrating to researchers, helps prevent damage to irreplaceable cultural treasures. They protect their ancient sites very seriously, having learned hard lessons from past incidents where overzealous exploration or tourism damaged irreplaceable artifacts. The Egyptian Antiquities Service, now the Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities, has developed increasingly sophisticated conservation and site management practices over decades of dealing with the challenges posed by mass tourism and archaeological research. At Giza specifically, they've implemented strict controls on where digging is permitted, how visitors can interact with the monuments, and what technologies can be used for investigation. These protections extend below ground as well, with regulations governing even non-invasive techniques like ground-penetrating radar to ensure they don't inadvertently harm delicate subsurface features. The government's protective stance reflects both genuine commitment to preservation and awareness that Egypt's ancient heritage is a finite, non-renewable resource that must be carefully stewarded for future generations. Some researchers and enthusiasts connect this possible underground city to the lost city of Atlantis, suggesting that if real, it might represent an outpost or colony of that legendary civilization. Proponents of this view point to Plato's description of Atlantis as having advanced engineering capabilities and a tradition of monumental construction, traits that would be consistent with the sophisticated underground features suggested by the scans. They speculate that if Atlantis existed and was destroyed by cataclysm as described, some of its knowledge might have been preserved in hidden locations like this potential underground city. While mainstream archaeology dismisses Atlantis as philosophical allegory rather than historical fact, the possibility that real underground structures might exist at Giza has given new energy to these speculative theories, even if most scholars consider the connection extremely unlikely. Others think it might relate to alien theories that have long swirled around the pyramids, proposing that the underground city could contain evidence of extraterrestrial contact or technology. These more fringe interpretations suggest that the precision and scale of the purported underground constructions exceed what ancient humans could have achieved alone, implying some form of advanced assistance. Proponents point to certain anomalous features in the radar data that they interpret as possible metallic objects or energy sources, though mainstream scientists caution against such speculative leaps without physical evidence. While such theories capture public imagination, they're generally dismissed by professional archaeologists who emphasize that ancient humans were fully capable of remarkable achievements without invoking extraterrestrial intervention. Still, the mystery surrounding the potential underground city ensures that alternative explanations will continue to proliferate until definitive answers emerge. Most mainstream scientists prefer to wait for more evidence before drawing conclusions, emphasizing that extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof in archaeology. They point out that while the initial scanning results are intriguing, history is full of examples where promising technological surveys ultimately revealed natural rather than artificial features. These cautious researchers advocate for methodical follow-up studies using multiple complementary technologies to confirm the findings before accepting such a revolutionary interpretation. They stress that archaeology moves slowly for good reason, The discipline's credibility depends on rigorous verification of claims, especially when they challenge established understandings. While open to the possibility of major discoveries at Giza, they argue that patience and scientific rigor will ultimately serve the truth better than premature announcements, no matter how exciting the initial findings may seem. What do you think is down there beneath the pyramids, hidden for thousands of years? The possibilities are as fascinating as they are varied. Could it be a forgotten necropolis for Egypt's elite, a secret repository of ancient knowledge, or perhaps something even more unexpected? The potential discovery invites us all to engage with one of archaeology's greatest puzzles, blending scientific inquiry with human curiosity about our shared past. As we wait for further research, the mystery invites speculation while reminding us how much we still have to learn about ancient civilizations and their achievements. The sands of Egypt have yielded incredible discoveries before, and they may yet have more surprises in store beneath their surface. Could it really be a lost city, preserved intact beneath the desert sands, waiting to reveal its secrets to modern explorers? The notion captures the imagination, offering the tantalizing possibility of walking through streets and buildings untouched since the age of the pharaohs, frozen in time like Pompeii but far older. Such a discovery would be unprecedented in Egyptian archaeology, where most urban sites have been heavily disturbed by later occupation or looters. An intact underground city could provide the kind of detailed snapshot of daily life that archaeologists normally only dream about, with the potential to revolutionize our understanding of everything from ancient Egyptian domestic architecture to their social organization and technological capabilities. The very possibility reminds us why archaeology continues to fascinate. The past may be gone, but its physical traces can still surprise us. Or is it just an interesting rock formation that happens to resemble artificial structures in the scans, a trick of geology amplified by our tendency to see patterns where none exist? This more skeptical view cautions against getting carried away by exciting but unverified data, reminding us that nature can produce remarkably regular formations that mimic human construction. The history of archaeology includes many initially promising finds that ultimately proved to be natural phenomena, from ancient walls that turned out to be geological strata, to artifacts that were simply oddly shaped stones. While less glamorous than the lost city hypothesis, this possibility serves as an important counterbalance to over-enthusiasm, ensuring that claims are thoroughly vetted before being accepted. Even if the current findings ultimately prove to be natural, the investigation still advances our understanding of Giza's subsurface environment. Only time and more research will tell us the truth about what lies beneath Giza's sands, as science slowly peels back the layers of mystery surrounding this ancient site. The coming years will likely see intensified study of the plateau, using ever more sophisticated technologies, with researchers from various disciplines collaborating to solve the puzzle. Whatever the ultimate conclusion, the process of investigation itself enriches our understanding, demonstrating how modern science can illuminate the distant past in ways earlier generations couldn't have imagined. Whether the scans reveal a lost city, natural formations, or something in between, the quest for knowledge continues, reminding us that history is never fully written. There are always new chapters waiting to be discovered, sometimes right beneath our feet.
Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.